Guys, I want to take a little time today to talk to you about reflections and reflected image. So, when we think about glass, a lot of times you look at the mirror, you see yourself, and as you're trying to look at whatever's outside, you notice that you see your own reflection. And there are a couple ways that you could go through and amplify that reflection or mute that reflection. And I just kind of want to touch base on what some of these options are. So before I could really get to that, I want to talk about how we view glass. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and use this clear piece of glass here and just kind of go through the basics of it. So initially, we have to realize that we see glass in two different ways. We see glass in transmission, so we see our transmitted image, essentially what's behind the glass, and we also see glass in reflection. So we see a reflected image, and in this case, it is me holding my phone. So part of the way that you go through and you intensify some of this is you can change your lighting ratio of what's on the other side of the glass. That's essentially what we've done here. What you see is whenever you have a more equal lighting ratio, so it's really bright on my side of the glass and it's really bright on the other side of the glass, you don't get any of these reflected images. You just see what's on the other side of the glass, and that's generally what people are looking for. But if you want to amplify some of these reflected images, then all you have to do is change your lighting ratio. So suddenly what's behind the glass is actually darker than the lighting on our side of the glass, and now you're starting to see your own reflection. By playing with lighting ratios, you could essentially make a single clear piece of glass a mirror, but that would mean that our side of the room has to be 600 times brighter than this dark side of the glass. So there are some ways to change that. One of the ways is by adding coatings onto glass. So there are different types of coatings we can add, but some of them are just reflective in nature, just highly reflective coatings. This is what we see in Miro Pane and in Miro View. And you can see that in all the places that it is dark behind it, you see our reflection really clear, but in those bright spots where the smiley face is, you see your transmitted image. So again, it's here we have a clear mirror, and now that we're changing that lighting ratio behind, you're seeing that whatever your transmitted image is coming through. Same thing here, we'll see our reflections just slightly brighter on those black lines versus whatever the white background provides. So you can go through, you can play with this a couple different ways. I've set up a couple different samples to go through and show you. So this is our Pilkington Miro Pane. This is on just highly reflective coating on a gray tint, and as you see, still very transparent, but with the black background that changes. This is another one of our products. This is actually called Pilkington Active, and it's not intended to be used for its reflection necessarily, but you can see that as I go through and change those lighting ratios, again, it's not quite as reflective, but you're still getting this boost in reflected image once you change that lighting ratio behind it. There's a couple ways that you could go through and play with this, and so I kind of set up this small thing here, which is just 4 pieces of Miro View together. I've just gone through and glued all the edges, and I've placed these essentially like tea lights inside of it. And the coated surface is always on the interior, so the coated surfaces will be playing off of each other. So it's nothing too exciting, but as I go through and I turn on these lights, you see we start to get this infinity mirror effect. And so this will play around all the way through. If I were to go through and place a bright light on the other side of the glass, so if I placed a bright light over on this side, you'd see that bright light shining through, and you would get more transmitted image along with your reflected image off of those coated surfaces. So important to note that all reflections can be changed based on lighting ratios, based on color. If you put a tinted light, if you put the reflective coating on a tinted board, you'll get a higher boost in reflection, and just based on whatever your background is. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me at kayla.natividad@nsg.com. And otherwise, I look forward to seeing y'all and helping y'all soon.